In a small village surrounded by green fields, there lived a kind bread seller named Suad, with her 3 daughters, Layla, Salma, and Nada. Suad was a hard-working woman who woke up every morning before the sun rose, baking loaves of bread with her own tired hands, worn from years of labor. Though they didn't have much money, everyone in the village knew Suad's family for their generosity and love for helping others. One day, as Suad was selling bread in front of her humble home, an old woman came walking by. She wore a torn dress and leaned heavily on a wooden stick. Her face showed signs of hunger and poverty. In a weak voice, she said, "My dear, can you give me a piece of bread? I haven't eaten in 2 days." Suad's heart filled with compassion. Without asking for anything in return, she handed the woman a warm loaf of bread. From that day on, the old woman came by every day, asking for bread. Layla was always the first to respond. She would greet the old woman with a big smile, offer her a loaf, and invite her to sit and rest. Salma would often add some dates or yogurt alongside the bread. And sweet Nada always made sure to bring her a cool drink of water, especially on hot days. As the visits continued, the old woman began to notice the little details in their lives. She saw how Suad raised her daughters with kindness, modesty, and a love for hard work. Despite their simple life, they treated everyone with respect and warmth. What no one knew was that the old woman wasn't just any poor visitor. She was actually a wealthy lady who lived in a big house in the city. She had been looking for a kind-hearted girl to marry her only son, someone just like his gentle and noble mother. One day, while chatting with Layla, the old woman asked, "Why do you give me bread every day without me asking? Aren't you afraid you'll run out of food?" Layla smiled and replied, "Our mother taught us that giving only brings more blessings. What we give to others always comes back to us even greater." The old woman was touched by her words, but kept her true identity a secret. She began asking the girls about their dreams. Layla wished to learn sewing. Salma dreamed of becoming a teacher to help children read, and Nada wanted to be a doctor, treating the sick without asking for anything in return. The more the old woman listened, the more her heart admired them and their wonderful mother. One rainy day, she noticed the roof of their house was leaking. She knew the house needed repairs, but didn't want to reveal who she really was. So, she returned to the city and told her son everything she had seen and heard. The next day, the old woman came back, this time dressed in even simpler clothes. She looked very tired and frail. Knocking on Suad's door, she said in a weak voice, "My daughter, I need a place to rest. My feet can no longer carry me." Suad gently welcomed the old woman into her tiny home. She offered her the only bed in the room and brought her a warm bowl of soup to eat. As the old woman slowly sipped the soup, she watched the girls working busily without complaint. Layla was helping her mother clean the house. Salma was sewing old clothes to make them useful again, and Nada was carefully arranging a few books she had used to teach herself to read. The old woman asked Suad, "How do you manage this home with so little?" Suad replied with a calm smile, "There is blessing in the little we have. Our love for each other makes everything easier." The next day, the old woman came back with another request. She said to Layla, "My dear, I may need help carrying some firewood from the forest. Could you come with me?" Without hesitation, Layla agreed. She carried the heavy firewood on her back, even though it was far more than she could handle. The old woman thanked her and asked, "Why didn't you let me carry it instead?" Layla replied, "I can't just stand by when someone needs help." As days went by, the old woman quietly gave the family little tests. One day she asked Salma to sew a torn dress. Salma smiled and took it eagerly. She worked for many hours until the dress looked brand new again. The old woman asked, "Why did you put so much effort into this for me?" Salma answered, "True happiness comes from helping others." Another time, the old woman purposely dropped a clay water jar in front of Nada. The jar broke into many pieces, but Nada quickly came to pick up the shards. She didn't say a word of blame or anger. Instead, she brought the old woman a glass of water and said, "It's okay. What matters is that you're safe." The old woman felt her heart grow more attached to this family with every passing day. One chilly night, she decided to test their kindness once again. She knocked on their door and told them she had no blanket to sleep under. Without a second thought, Swad gave her their only blanket. That night, the family slept on the floor with no cover, only a mat to lie on. Tears filled the old woman's eyes. "How could you give me the only thing keeping you and your daughters warm?" she asked Suad. Swad gently replied, "Maybe this blanket will save you from the cold. We can bear it because we have each other." The old woman noticed that this family didn't just give food and shelter. They gave warm smiles and kind words. Their presence alone brought hope to anyone who passed by. She began telling her son more and more about the family, but she explained that she still needed to be sure that these pure hearts would remain kind no matter what life brought. One day, the old woman told Swad and her daughters that she had nowhere to stay for several days. Without hesitation, Suad opened the door wide and invited her in. She shared what little food they had without asking how long the old woman would stay or why she had no home. The old woman saw that the girls treated her like their own grandmother, never once doubting her intentions. Layla made her tea every morning. Salma would tell her cheerful stories to make her smile. Nada gently massaged the old woman's tired hands every evening. But even with all the kindness she received, the old woman decided to keep watching them a little longer, from a distance. She wanted to be completely sure. Her choice for her son had to be perfect. Once her heart was certain of Suad's family's goodness and humility, the old woman took the next step. She returned to the city and told her son, Karim, a well-educated, handsome young man, everything she had seen and heard about the family. "My son," she said, "if you're truly looking for a kind and sincere girl, you must go see them for yourself. But like I did, you must test their hearts. Don't go as yourself. Pretend to be a poor traveler in need. Only then will you see their true nature." Karim hesitated at first, but he agreed to his mother's request. He put on old, simple clothes to look like a humble worker and set off for the village. When he reached Suad's house, he stood quietly at the door for a moment, then gently knocked. Suad opened it with her warm, usual smile and asked kindly, "What's the matter, my son?" In a soft voice, Karim said, "I'm a stranger in this village. I lost my job and haven't eaten in 2 days. Could you spare me a piece of bread?" Without the slightest hesitation, Suad welcomed him inside. "Come in, my son. Sit and rest. I'll bring you something to eat right away." Layla rushed to prepare a bowl of hot soup and some bread. Salma brought warm water for him to wash his hands. Even little Nada came forward with a shy smile, offering him a cup of milk. As Karim ate, he began to feel the gentle warmth that filled this home. The next day, he decided to test each of the daughters individually. He began with Layla. "Could you help me mend my torn shirt?" he asked. Layla took the shirt and said, "Don't worry, I'll fix it as good as new." She sat down and worked patiently for hours, stitching the fabric skillfully. When she handed it back with a smile, she said, "Here you go. You can wear it now." Karim asked her, "Why do you go through all this effort for a stranger?" Layla replied, "Mama taught us that kindness always comes back to us, and I like to help anyone in need." Later, Karim approached Salma. "Could you teach me how to read? My mother always said that learning is the path to success, but I never got the chance to go to school." Salma smiled brightly and agreed right away. She sat with him and began teaching him letters and words, just like she would with a little brother. "Why are you doing this for me when I have nothing to give you in return?" Karim asked. Salma answered, "Knowledge is a gift, and sharing it is a duty." That evening, Karim decided to test Nada. He pretended to drop and break a glass cup, then apologized quickly. "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to." But Nada hurried over, carefully picking up the broken pieces. "Don't worry," she said kindly. "Cups can be replaced. What matters is that you're okay." Surprised, Karim asked, "Aren't you upset that I broke something of yours?" With innocent honesty, Nada replied, "Getting angry won't fix the cup. But your kind apology is enough." Over the next few days, Karim lived with the family and saw how they treated him like one of their own. They shared meals with him, spoke to him gently, and never asked about his past or future. He saw a purity in their hearts that he had never seen before. He started to realize his mother had been right all along. One day, while helping Swad carry some firewood, Karim asked her, "Why do you treat strangers with so much kindness? Aren't you ever afraid someone might take advantage of your goodness?" Swad gently replied. Swad smiled softly and replied, "My son, Allah is the protector. We do good for the sake of Allah, not expecting anything in return from anyone." A few days later, Karim returned to his mother and told her everything he had seen and felt. His heart was full of certainty. This family was the right choice. On a sunny morning, the old woman came back to Swad's home, but this time she wore elegant clothes that matched her true status. Karim stood beside her, also dressed neatly, confident, and graceful. When they knocked on the door, Layla opened it with her usual welcoming smile. But her eyes widened in surprise when she saw the old woman in her fine dress, standing next to a well-dressed young man. "Could it really be?" she whispered, confused. The old woman smiled warmly and said, "Yes, my dear, it's me. But I was never truly poor as you thought. I come from a wealthy family and I was searching for a kind-hearted girl to be my son's wife." She looked lovingly at Swad and added, "I came here to see how people live with their hearts, and your family has shown me something truly special." Swad and her daughters were speechless, their heads lowered in modesty and surprise. Swad softly said, "We only did what life taught us, to help those in need without asking for anything in return." Karim stepped forward and said, "And that's exactly why I want Layla to be my partner in life. I've seen her kind heart, her hard work, and her priceless humility." Layla burst into quiet tears, too shy to speak. Salma and Nada held her hands, their eyes sparkling with joy. Suad wiped her own tears and said, "We are a simple family. We don't have much to offer people like you." But the old woman gently interrupted, "You have what's most precious in this world. Pure hearts. That's more than enough." After a long emotional conversation, Suad agreed to the marriage, but with one condition. "Layla must remain the same simple girl. I don't want her to live a life that pulls her away from her roots." The old woman laughed warmly. "Don't worry, Suad. I don't want her to lose her beautiful values. I want her to be part of our family just as she is." On the day of the engagement, the entire village gathered to celebrate. The old woman brought gifts for Suad's family and made a big announcement. "I don't want to take Layla alone. I want all of you. You are my family now, and we will live together like one big happy home." She invited them to live in her spacious house, where there was room for all who loved goodness. The family moved into the new home, where they lived a life full of love and warmth. Layla and her sisters never changed. They continued to treat everyone with kindness and humility. Their new home became a place of joy and laughter, a place where anyone in need could find comfort. And so the story ends, with a big, beautiful family that became a shining example of how kind hearts can build magical worlds. And to think, it all began with a simple loaf of bread and a sincere smile.
If you like this video, so don't hesitate to subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.